Still not hearing you.
I haven't talked to you.
Hello?
I haven't started speaking yet.
Oh, okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
We're live.
I thought there was a little preview thing that popped up. Maybe I'm just running slow. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. It's my co-host, Pacelli. Say hello to the chat.
Hello to the chat.
Yes. So how is everyone this evening?
I'm doing well.
How are you
I hope
doing?
you're doing well. I'm doing good.
Did you have a happy Sunday?
I had a relatively peaceful Sunday, yes.
Did you have a nice breakfast today?
I don't remember actually having breakfast this morning, no. Why should I have done?
It's the most important meal of the day.
I'll tell you, you know what the most important meal of the day is? The one you eat when you're hungry.
Oh, man, you're supposed to eat in the morning. You need,
gotcha.
Chicken fried steak and biscuits and gravy and hot cakes.
Yeah, that's a bit much for me for breakfast, and not all of those things are making me salivate.
You have a problem with biscuits and gravy. I've noticed this about you.
I'm not big with that white gravy. No, I don't.
White sausage gravy. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
If I'm gonna have the biscuits, I'll put a little bit of butter in between, and maybe even turn it into a sandwich. Put a little bit of egg in there, a little bit of bacon. But
and lately we found our store has chorizo
sausage. Yeah, so I chopped that up in a frying pan with egg.
You can make an omelet with that, maybe.
He makes burritos.
Yeah, but I make breakfast burritos.
Oh, okay.
I make them myself. I don't just go and get the ones from the store that you don't know what the heck they put into it.
In the frozen section, you mean? Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Have a great show, my geezer friends. Well, thank you, Big Al. Chris P., welcome. Good evening, Aged Boomer and Troy Pritchard. Good evening, and have a great stream. Thank you so much.
Yep.
So here we are. Are we recovering from the Oscars last week that we didn't watch?
I did not. Yeah, I did not bother watching the Oscars, and tonight
I did not.
And tonight we'll talk a little about why I feel even better about that decision.
Welcome, Curtis Selby. All right, and there's you saying hi to the chat. Let me just kind of get through all of this. Hold on. All right. DJ Play Nice, welcome. Connie Cleary, welcome. Deleted scenes. Oh, we got a deleted scenes raid going on.
Yes, we did. Thank you so much.
There we go. But we had a pretty good stream Friday, though, huh? If any of you missed it, you can catch it on my channel, Troy's channel. We were talking about Batman 89.
Yes, we did. And it was a lot of fun, and a lot of memories were shared.
I watched it again last night.
Oh, did you?
Up. Yes, holds up. I done them out of order because I did Batman Returns earlier, and then it was like, no, I should have done Batman first and then done Batman Returns. But
true. I did start reading Batman. What's it called? Batman Resurrection.
That would have been a great idea for a movie. I like it already.
Well, I would like to imagine that had they continued with the Tim Burton concept, maybe that's what would have happened.
Is it a resurrection of a dead character?
Yes, as a matter of fact. I won't give any spoilers,
right.
But yes.
Okay. Detective Eckhart comes back from the dead.
Yeah, exactly.
He reminded me of Harvey Bullock, but he wasn't supposed to be Harvey Bullock. He was his own character, because that's what they did back in the day when they, instead of radically
actually, character. Somebody correct me, but I don't think Bullock came in until the Bronze Age. So I'm wondering if Bullock might have been inspired by
Eckhart, maybe.
Yeah.
But here we are. Welcome, Jessica Hart, if I don't already said, and Connie Cleary. And all right, but yeah, tonight is Geeky Geezers. We have I don't want to say we have low stories tonight. I think we have an average amount, but yeah, I guess just get to it. But I guess we'll get to the good old days, right?
Okay, what's good about the good old days? Oh, Return of the Joker.
Batman Return of the Joker. So on Friday, I treated Troy to the history of Batman video games based on the 89 movie. I think you found it interesting, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
In fact, we even discovered that Atari made one for the arcades. Atari made a Batman game for the arcades. Sunsoft made most of the Batman games on the NES. I didn't cover this one on Friday because this one is not actually based on the Batman 89 movie. But Sunsoft still had the Batman license, and they had to milk that license while they still had a chance because
Absolutely.
Batman Returns was coming out, and they didn't have the rights to that. So they made this game called Batman Return of the Joker, which I think is more based on the comics at the time. Let me show you some pictures. The big thing about this game is that it was really pushing the limits of the NES hardware. The advertisements used to go, 8-bit, this looks 16-bit. A 16-bit game on your 8-bit console. What is going on? You see how the Batman written, though it's the Batman 89 Batman writing on there. But
right.
You turn the game on, and all of a sudden you're treated to, look at that. Ha, 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 ha. It's the Joker.
Definitely comic book art, yeah.
How is he back? And then, of course, we have the bat symbol flickers on. And then we have Batman.
Yep.
And I think that's more like the comics, though. I think is that the symbol from the movie over the comic book outfit? Was the comic book using that symbol at the time, or
I can't tell if that is the first movie Batman bat or the subsequent ones, because the Batman Returns bat was basically the one from the comics.
Okay, all right, well that makes sense. But
there was the little extra tail on the Batman symbol from the first movie. They changed that up for Returns. I was never 100% clear why the bat symbol looked that way. I think Tom Connors had mentioned it had some rights related issue, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I'll have to hit him up and ask him what the details are on that. But
he knows all that stuff. I did not actually own this back in the day. I got it a few years ago because at this point I had kind of moved on to the Super Nintendo. But this game really did push the limits of the NES hardware. Look at that. That's one of the bosses you fight. Doesn't give a name. I gave a name, but I forgot. I always assumed it was the Riddler. No, because he's all roided out and he has a blasting laser gun. So of course it's the Riddler in this version.
Sure, why not?
No, I don't know. It's some other guy. You got to put your NES on a frozen bag of peas to get that Batman game to play right. Yeah, maybe. It's all right. So here we go.
Did the NES have a problem with overheating?
I don't know. We didn't seem to have problems. I mean, the NES, unfortunately, Nintendo got better with this over time, but it was not a flawless machine. When they designed the American version, you would put the game in the slot in the front, close this, and push it down, and then close the front, because Nintendo was actually trying to mimic how VCRs worked with their game console. I see. Which didn't make a lot of sense because, of course, with the Atari system and all their game consoles, you just put the cartridge in the top and turn it on. But yeah. I think they were trying to mimic it. And the trouble is, over time, these NES consoles break down. They were not the... Nintendo was pretty good with hardware, but they're not. But there were some growing pains with the original Nintendo. In fact, I heard in Japan when they released the Famicom, there were tons of defects when it came out. People were sending them back, but of course, Nintendo footed the bill for repairing all the consoles because they were trying to beat Sega to the punch. Because basically, Atari basically announced we're done with consoles, and I think Sega and Nintendo both looked at each other and then started running. Nintendo just beat out Sega because Sega was also making an 8-bit console at the time too. Because they knew there'd be money. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a game-specific question. You're showing a screenshot here.
Yes.
And it looks to me like Batman has 80,000 power and the villain has 37,000. You have more than twice the power he does. Why even bother?
These are hit points, probably because you're beating him, and probably because he got some shots off. Instead of hit points, you have instead of like a hit point gauge meter, it's all numbers. And when you destroy the guy's other side, it gets down to 0, he dies. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know why they didn't go with a normal power gauge like in every other NES game. or not every other game, but the games that show power. But that's what it is. Let me show you some other pictures from this. There's a sewer level. You see the Batman sprite is a lot bigger than the one in the original NES game for the movie. They were able to really
to accommodate better graphics or something.
Yes, I think so. That's him fighting some kind of cyborg, I think, on top of a moving train, because why not?
So they didn't have rights to any villains. They just kind of
They had the rights to the Joker.
Okay.
And what else do you need? We'll just throw what we want in there.
I guess.
That's some armored cyborg. None of this makes any sense, okay? Who cares? I almost think in one stage you're fighting hopping Chinese ghosts, too, but I could be wrong on that. By the way, Batman has a special utility that shoots out batarangs.
Wow.
That explode and stuff. It's like, I don't want to say he has a gun, because, Batman would never use a gun. I don't know. I kind of think when he starts out this and you're just shooting the bad guys, I'm like, yeah, he's not messing around anymore. He's got a gun. Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess in the manual it's probably listed as a battering projectile.
They're definitely using the Batmobile from the movie, though.
So there's a little bit of cross. So it's the Batman from, I think, the comic, because the next one I'm going to show you, I believe, is the Batman from the comic, right?
No, that's definitely from the movie. You can tell by the boots and the belt for sure.
Well,
but the coloring is mostly blue.
It's the blue, yeah, from the comic, right?
But that could also be a limitation of the graphics, right? How do you portray black on black in the shadows?
I don't know.
When you only have 16 colors to work with.
I think that they had rights to use the Joker, Batman. They must have had rights to use some second stringer villains, because they showed up in the first Batman game based on the movie. So that's probably what they were dealing with here.
Yeah.
Let's see, though. If I read this article from Wikipedia, the game's 5 bosses include Ace Ranger, a Mind Droid, the Master CPU of the Refinery, and 2 battles with the Joker. So I don't know who is Ace Ranger, a DC Comics character.
Never heard of him.
They just made that up for the game. That's the guy with the gun at the beginning. I made a joke that it's the Riddler, because why not? But this was I'm going to show you this. Look at this. Look at this. So he's fighting a tank.
I mean, yeah, I suppose. Why not?
So it says here, Return of the Joker is a side-scrolling running gun platformer. You mean run and projectile batarang platformer, okay? Batman's weapon is a wrist projector, yes, see, which players change the type of ammunition by collecting icons through the levels. C icons for crossbow, which shoots arrows that make an enemy explode. B icons for batarangs, C batarangs, where its direction follows the movement of the on-screen enemies, and N for sonic neutralizer that shoots 2 patterns of batarangs for a crisscross shape, and S for shield stars that shoots 3 darts going separate directions. See, these aren't bullets. Don't be mistaken. Batman can also slide using the A button and down on the directional pad, a move that is also an attack, although it only works against some enemies. Batman can also collect energy capsules that, if 8 are obtained, will make him become invincible for a few seconds. Isn't that impressive, huh?
Well, I mean, there was a brief storyline where he gained some of Superman's powers for a while.
They did that on Batman, the Brave and the Bold.
I'm not surprised.
I can't spoil it to you. It was the Super Batman of Planet X. Batman ends up on Planet X, but he gets something that, and I guess on this planet, which is sort of like Earth, he has Superman's powers. But there's also like a regular Batman type character on this planet, and of course he's showing up, this other Batman type character. And there's also a character that's obviously based on Lois Lane, another character that's obviously based on Lex Luthor, that's on this Earth-like planet where Batman has these superpowers. And it was actually voiced by Dana Delaney and the Lois Lane character who did the voice of Lois Lane on Superman the Animated Series. And Clancy Brown reprises Lex Luthor for this fake Lex Luthor on this planet.
I'm getting more and more the impression that this Brave and the Bold cartoon was like a slightly tongue-in-cheek look at the Golden Age characters.
Silver Age.
I think some of them came from Golden Age, but yeah, okay.
Some of them did, because he did the main Flash on the show for a while was the one with the helmet.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Eventually they bring in Barry Allen though, but all right. So that's him flying because there's a flying shoot 'em up stage. That's the Joker. Look at that, huh? You're shooting at him in this flying contraption.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly the kind of way the Joker would be fighting you. Why not?
And he's in some kind of mech computer machine shooting lasers at you. Look at that, huh?
Wow.
You think this is a departure from the comics?
A little bit. This doesn't feel very Batman to me. I got to be honest. It's way more like Street Fighter or something like that to me.
Yeah, well, this was Sunsoft. Street Fighter was Capcom. Capcom, to my knowledge, never did any DC games. Capcom was all about Marvel games. But here we go. That's a review from GamePro. Look at that. They're pretty excited. You have the orange is good. Red is the best. They gave the graphics a red because that's how good the graphics were. I did want to make a point that, what was it? Sunsoft made a special chip just for this NES game. And it was to, even Nintendo didn't have a chip this powerful in any of their games. All right. Okay, so let me go to the last thing. This is from Nintendo Power. Look at that. There's a little comic strip with Batman and the Joker there, and they gave it a good review as well. And I take it that picture of the Joker is the same one they used in the game. That's probably from one of the comics, right?
Exactly.
Right. Now, I brought this up just because it was a weird aside. I didn't feel like bringing it up on Friday because it's not really connected to the movie. But I suspect that Sunsoft, they still had Batman rights for a little while longer, and they're like, the Batman NES game was such a huge hit, we have to make another. But I give them credit for just not doing a copy paste. They actually did create an original game. It doesn't play like the original; it plays more like a Contra style game. So it was kind of neat. And I just want to.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, look at this. This is what the NES was capable of early on. That's Kung Fu.
There you go.
Look at that from like 85 or 86 when this came out to this. And I wanted to show this is what we got to later on. I mean, that's a drastic improvement, don't you think?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely better than Mario or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the original Mario Brothers. Though I think that the original Super Mario Brothers still made people like the look of it, even though it's still rather simplistic. In fact, it's amazing. There's some fan-made games based on the original Super Mario Brothers engine that they're not officially made by Nintendo, so you can't get them officially. But I wish Nintendo would just buy these. It's like it's almost like when someone back in the day made a fancier version of Pac-Man, and then Namco bought it, made it Ms. Pac-Man. I think Nintendo should really buy these people's these programmers' treatments of the original Super Mario Brothers and re-release it as on a modern console. That would be neat.
Yeah.
But anyway,
did you know that there was a direct-to-DVD Return of the Joker film
for Batman Beyond?
Batman Beyond, exactly right. Kevin Conroy did the voice of Batman.
Yes.
Tara Strong played Barbara Gordon, surprisingly, and of course Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Yes. That might be a whole nother good old days, but it won't be a good old days. We may also talk about it now. That release was a bit of a disaster because AOL had recently bought Warner Brothers.
Okay.
And AOL did not like a certain plot point where they do a flashback to how the Joker gets killed. And they made them censor that out of the animated version. They had to come up with new animation. Years later, the uncut version is now available and you can watch it in its uncut form. But when AOL originally released that, they released it in a cut form. I was angry. I said, I'm not buying this. But I still wanted to watch it, so I rented it from a Blockbuster, but I wouldn't buy it. And I did see the cut version. Now I don't even think the censored version exists anymore. Now the uncut version exists. If you buy the Batman Beyond Blu-ray set, it comes with that movie as well. It's neat. You get to see the Terry McGinnis Batman go up against the Joker, but how is that possible since he died so many years ago?
Right.
Almost reminds me of the plot of something you're reading now, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, although I know the plot of both, and they bring the Joker back in two very different ways.
Okay. But Harvey Bullock originally appeared in Detective Comics 441, 1974.
Oh,
okay.
So he does predate all of this. Okay. I was completely unaware of him until the Bronze Age.
It's the suit from the movie. They just added blue because it was easier. Maybe.
Exactly.
It also stands out more against the background. Later on with Batman games, you'll notice that they became they got better at doing the gray or black outfit against
Exactly.
brighter backgrounds. That was the trade off. We'll talk about that this coming Friday, though. More Batman goodness coming this Friday. But anyway, that's Batman: Return of the Joker. Not a
But you
cheap
know what
NES cartridge right now. Yeah.
But you know what I remember from my childhood, of course, was what I considered to be the Batman in space. That was Space Ghost.
Yes. So let's move on, unfortunately, to our first story of the night.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, yes. Did you already paste it in there?
I did.
I don't know where it is. Hold on.
Scroll down.
There we go. Okay.
Go.
I see the horrible ghost.
Looking for
again.
the little ghost face. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of ghosts, voice actor of Space Ghost Coast to Coast has passed away.
Yeah.
Space Ghost voice actor George Lowe dies at 67. George Lowe, the voice actor and comedian best known for his portrayal of Space Ghost on the partially animated TV series Space Ghost Coast to Coast, has died. Lowe, 67. Passed away on Sunday. A representative for the actor confirms to outlets including Deadline and AV Club. Lowe, a Florida native, had lent his voice to several animated Cartoon Network shows, but was perhaps best known for his role on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the network's first original program aimed at older late-night viewers. You could argue this might have been the start of Adult Swim right here.
Kind of, yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah, the show centered on Space Ghost, an aging superhero after he retired from crime fighting to host his own talk show with real-life celebrities. Over 100 episodes were produced between 1993 and 2012, according to the Internet Movie Database. Adult Swim, the Cartoon Network programming block inspired in part by Space Ghost and the network's other adult-oriented shows, posted a tribute to Lowe on social media. Fans flooded the comment section, calling him a legend and the best to ever do it. The king of Adult Swim, one fan wrote. Florida radio host Marvelous Marvin Boone also paid tribute to his longtime friend in a Facebook post on Tuesday morning, saying he was beyond devastated. My Zobanian brother and best friend for over 40 years, George Lowe, has passed away after a long illness, the post said. A part of me has also died. He was a supremely talented artist and voiceover actor, a true warm-hearted genius. Boone went on to call Lowe the funniest man on earth. I've stolen jokes from him for decades. He stole some of mine. He was also the voice of Space Ghost, and so much more, Boone wrote. As of Wednesday morning, Lowe's cause of death has not been made public. Well, rest in peace. I mean, obviously he's entitled to his... Adult Swim owes a lot to Space Ghost, CluuStudio said. I might have done that for good old days, but I used to watch it off and on, but I was not a regular on that. But yeah.
The interestingly, I mean, it was a Filmation character, right? Space Ghost.
I thought Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, maybe it was Hanna-Barbera. And Hanna-Barbera was Warner Brothers, right? So that would fall under the DC if they were to do a comic book version. Because I know whatever comic book company had the rights recently did a series that kind of was like a modern take on Space Ghost, kind of going back, looking at his origin and whatnot. And from what I heard, it was pretty good. Never really looked into it myself. But yeah, Hanna-Barbera. So that probably does mean DC would have the rights on that. So, yeah, I'll have to look into that because I know that Space Ghost did get updated for modern audiences, but in the good sense, not in the way we usually mean it when we say it.
But I heard of Space Ghost. I saw the pieces of the show on the Teletoon at night, but never saw a full episode. Yeah, they would do like clips. I remember on welcome, by the way, Daniel's Hot Topics. But
Right.
yeah, I remember they would show clips of it as well, like in between commercial breaks. Sometimes you see a Space Ghost clip. But I remember this, though. It was funny because they did treat it like an actual talk show. And I guess they had some of his monster enemies on there as like
Yeah.
anti-character. It's just, I don't know. It was kind of goofy, but kind of fun. Because let's be honest, there's some goofiness in a lot of those old Filmation Hanna-Barbera.
Yes, there is. And it did lend itself to that kind of I don't know. I call it like the Adam West farce of Batman. That kind of a thing.
Did Adam West ever voice Space Ghost, or am I thinking of a different actor, like in the original cartoon?
That I don't know, but I know he did. He and Burt Ward did the voices of Batman and Robin for a period in the Super Friends, and also the Adventures of Superman animated series.
And then they also did. Yeah, I kind of wanted to check out their later. The Filmation did a Batman series with Burt Ward and
right.
Adam West, and they last reprised, of course, with those 2 direct-to-video movies, which was. And one of them, which was Batman versus Two-Face, where they cast William Shatner as Two-Face.
As the voice, and it was just spot on. I loved it. Yeah,
it was perfect, because the reason they picked William Shatner is because in the 1960s, the 2 biggest shows were, or most iconic cultural shows, were Batman and Star Trek. So naturally, they would have loved to have had William Shatner there.
Right.
Did you know Clint Eastwood was originally pegged to play Two-Face on the Adam West Batman series, but something didn't work out, or it never got made? I think an episode was written.
That's interesting.
It. Yeah,
that's
and
interesting.
I think it was going to have Clint Eastwood. Yeah, but so that would have been interesting.
I didn't know they had cast him, but I had heard that the idea of his origin, the one side of his face all scarred up, was maybe they considered to be a bit too intense for the intended audience. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Thomas Wayne is Brave and the Bold. There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was really neat how Adam West would pop on a lot of these Batman cartoon shows, even when he wasn't directly playing Batman. Like on the original Batman the animated series, he played an actor who played a character called the Gray Ghost, which was like kind of like the Batman universe's version of the Shadow. And Batman tries telling him, you were my inspiration, like watching you as a kid. That was partly where I got these ideas from. Because he was thinking, I'm an old washed up actor. No one will cast me in anything else. They see me as the Gray Ghost. We're saying, no, you as the Gray Ghost was very important to me. So it was a good little episode, and it has a happy ending for the
people. Don't realize this about Adam West. If all they know is the farcical Batman that he played, and don't take him seriously, they don't realize that he did a lot of voice acting for a lot of iterations of Batman, and he was totally capable of playing a serious Batman too. He did not have to do it farcically. He did a great job of playing the straight superhero character.
He did, yeah.
Anyway. It's very easy to get off on a tangent when you're talking about Space Ghost, because you see Space Ghost, you think Batman.
Yeah, definitely. But rest in peace, though. This is
was kind of a surprise, bit of a surprise. That one didn't know about. But as long as we are talking DC Comics.
Too gruesome for kids. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let's go to Superman test screening.
Yeah. So I remember that you had suspected that behind the scenes you'd said, I think we talked about this already, and we kind of did. But my understanding is that this particular piece is another screening entirely. So this is the second.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Because I was seeing this and I'm like, wait a minute, didn't we cover this already? But I think this is another screening they did, which also went poorly. By the way,
not a good, not good news for Warner Brothers.
Do you love this lovely AI created picture of an angry audience that I had made? This article.
Why does it look like everyone in the audience is female and brunette?
I don't know. They don't. Some of them have the same face. Anyway, James. Okay, Superman's test screening reactions reportedly incredibly divided. James Gunn's Superman is one of the most anticipated movies of 2025, with David Cornsweet being the latest actor to portray the Man of Steel on the big screen. Most DC fans, aside from Zack Snyder diehards, are desperate for Superman to be a hit and revitalize the DC universe on the big screen after years of divisive movies. The first test screenings.
If they are that desperate, then maybe they should start listening to the fans. I'm just saying.
Well, they're in a new direction now. Come on, the first test screenings of James Gunn's latest film have already happened with the
I'll tell you,
director.
there's only one successful direction they can go in, and that's by listening to the fans. Every other direction is going to be wrong.
Okay, we'll see. Let's see what the fans have thought so far. The regular people. First test screenings, with the director confirming that some minor reshoots will take place before its theatrical release on July 11th, 2026.
Uh-huh.
That's 2025. That's this year,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Okay. But fans are desperate to know what the first test audiences are saying about the film. 2 reports have been released supposedly quoting the test screening viewers, and the reactions couldn't be more juxtaposed. The first report via Insnider, Jeff Schneider, on his The Hot Mic podcast, Snyder revealed that one of his sources had nothing but bad things to say about Superman after the test screening. I got a call from my best source after that newsletter, Snyder said, having previously written positive report about Superman. He said, "Great newsletter tonight. You got one thing wrong, and that's about Superman, which I continue to hear is terrible." Where could, so let me see. The news may come as a dagger to the heart for those who are optimistic about Superman successfully rebooting the DCU on the big screen. But not all hope is lost. Speaking on the John Campea show, the eponymous host gave a juxtaposing report about the first reaction to Superman's test screening. "I will come out and say the exact opposite," Campea said in reference to Snyder's report. "I've heard tremendously good." Both reports should be viewed as speculative, as neither of their sources have been confirmed to have been part of Superman's test screenings or even real. It is better to base your first reactions and opinions on Superman on the official promotional footage rather than questionable sources and reports. Fans can develop their own opinions on Superman's quality when the film is released in theaters on July 11th. Both opposing reports about Superman's test screenings may be questionable, but one definite fact has come out of the process. Superman will be going back for some minor reshoots. This was revealed by James Gunn himself during a recent DC Studios press conference. "We've done real screenings," the director confirmed, "definitely learning stuff all the time, definitely editing and making little changes. The term reshoot has become a buzzword that causes panic in the hearts of fans, but James Gunn reassured the DC fan base that Superman's reshoots will only be minor details, with the actor citing some fight scenes as his main cause for concern. "You know what? I wish I had shot that fist hitting that," Gunn said as one example. Alongside Corn Sweat, Superman also starred Millie Alcock, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Nathan Fillion, Isabella Merced, Frank Grillo, Anthony Carrigan, Eddie Gathegi, and more. Following Superman, the DC will return to the big screen a year later with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I didn't realize the Supergirl movie is in such quick succession. That's what I got from this article.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit with the next article, but
will Superman be in this Supergirl movie?
Not if we're lucky, and I'll explain why.
But yeah, I don't know. Which means the movie will blow. We don't know that. FKHC 2005, otherwise known as Tim. Keep the faith.
But I do agree that we base our conjectures on what we know of the past. If you know the past, you can predict the future. So I think it's fairly reasonable. And Pitt Sniper Husker says, all AI has been corrupted by the Karens. Well, Karens need representation too, I guess.
Yes, they do. But I just don't know about this, though. I mean, do you think... I don't like the fact there's so many characters in this movie.
I have said that from the beginning.
I think they're...
I said you need to do if you want your Superman movie to be a successful Superman movie, you should make a damn Superman movie, not a Superman and the rest of the DC universe movie. Setting up all the other movies. Get one movie right. That's how Marvel did it.
Well, yes, and that's how we thought DC was doing it.
The first Iron Man movie wasn't Iron Man and the Hulk and Captain America and every other person. It was Iron Man, just Iron Man. with a little stinger at the end with Nick Fury. That's it.
Yeah. But Troy, I have a wonderful idea for Warner Brothers to stop making DC Comics movies in total for the next 5 to 10 years and try to get into the other IPs grabbed from other companies.
Well, there's something to be said for that too, but they're not mutually exclusive either. I think a lot of the studios, Disney, Warner Brothers, all of them have IPs that they are not paying attention to that they really should be using.
All right.
But I don't know.
Are you looking forward to this at all? Are you going to wait for reviews? Hello? Did I get disconnected? Can anyone hear me in the chat?
About that, I'm sorry. I just I lost the plot. I was technical difficulties. My apologies. No, I am looking forward to finding out how this actually is received, but I will not be there opening night. I have zero faith in this, and yeah. In fact, where is the? Here we are. Let me go ahead and drop the.
Let me go next.
Actually, I just have that. I need to give you the whole thing. This is. I am bothered just by the title here.
What are you talking about? The person looks excited about this.
One of DC's best writers. If this is one of DC's best writers, we're in trouble.
This is from Screen Rant. The opinions of Screen Rant do not necessarily reflect us, but are our own opinions. But one of DC's best writers will act as the backbone for James Gunn's TV show, Tom King.
Which should not surprise you, because Tom King is the one who wrote what was the Supergirl title that you just read?
Woman of Tomorrow.
Woman of Tomorrow.
Woman of Tomorrow.
He did a mini series with that title, so that tells me they're just going to have him turn that into a movie.
Is she all messed up in that comic book?
She's a little bit feminized, modern for modern audiences a bit, but more importantly, Tom King is the writer of Heroes in Crisis. In other words, Tom King working out his mental trauma through comic books. Yeah. Former CIA operative who really should be, spending a lot of time on a psychiatrist chair and a lot less time writing comics for kids. Just saying.
Yes. Tom King, a DC Comics writer whose work has been cited as inspiration for James Gunn's DC Universe, will put his mark on the upcoming HBO series Lanterns in more ways than one. The veteran comic book writer who is serving as a writer and executive producer on Lanterns will be bringing in influences from his own comics, including Omega Man, which heavily featured Green Lantern Kyle Rayner. King has never written Green Lantern comics, but he has written a number of cosmic DC stories over the years, most notably Omega Man with artist Barnaby Bagenda, one of his early hits featuring Green Lantern Kyle Rayner in its main cast. The writer is set to serve as a producer on Lanterns and will be the shaping of cinematic course for Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, even while Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie is based on a comic book by King and Bilquis Evely, take shape. According to the quote circulating widely on X from DC Studios boss Gunn, it's more like Tom doing a version of Lanterns in the same way that he did Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, Mr. Miracle, the same way he did my favorite Adam Strange Adventures. King tends to focus on the high concept of a character, then tell the bigger story he can. I think that's from James Gunn. While King has written a number of in-universe comic books to sync up with DC's canon, like Batman and Wonder Woman, most of its hits are standalone miniseries that allow King to break rules and take big swings. King and Jared's Eisner-winning Mr. Miracle set the template, although it was influenced by Omega Man. Later series that took similar approach include King's Strange Adventures and Human Target with Greg Smallwood. King tends to focus on the high concept of character, then tell the biggest story he can tell. As far as what we know so far about the Lanterns, the series will feature Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Variety shared a first look at Lanterns just after DC Studios' event in Los Angeles. The characters appear in civilian clothes rather than their superhero costumes, and that likely gives fans a sense of what to expect from the show, which has been described as grounded and inspired by True Detective in prior interviews and announcements. I have a theory.
That's just what you want when you watch a Green Lantern, Lantern Corps type movie. You want to watch a detective procedural. That's what you're.
Do you think that this is a True Detective season that they never made and they're just reskinning as a Green Lantern show? I'm kidding.
I would not be surprised.
Lanterns will take the whole idea of Green Lanterns as cosmic cops to the next level as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. The series will be written by Chris Mundy, Damon Lindelof, and King. With James Gunn announcing that he is working on a TV series following Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, here's everything you need to know about Lanterns.
I'll tell you everything you need to know about Lanterns. They're an intergalactic space force. For them to be doing police work on Earth, my first thought would be jurisdiction problems. That's no. You know, you want to tell this story. I mean, I would be interested in a space-based, crime procedural. That would be interesting, where you start introducing characters from, alien worlds and whatnot and setting up the galaxy of characters, kind of like Marvel did with Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't have to be comical. It could be a police procedural, but no, they...
Sorry, comic book writers are not the same as movie and TV writers. This won't go the way Gunn thinks.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't like seeing them in civilian clothes. I also noticed that what is it? Hal Jordan looks a lot older than Jon Stewart. Do you think they're going to be, or at least looks a bit older? Are they going to be putting him out to pasture maybe after this show?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, in fairness, Jon Stewart was intended to be his replacement at one time when he was first introduced. So,
did you see the pic of Zack Snyder and James Gunn together? It's possible that DCWB might give Zack Snyder a few Elseworlds movies to complete the DCU.
Oh God! Why?
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're trying to get a clean break. I don't think they want to do the Batman crime series, even though that's more of a hit for Warner Brothers.
Exactly. I think the only reason
they're talking about Elseworlds, yeah.
The only reason they're even continuing with that Patterson Batman thing is because of contractual obligations, and I would assume because of the popularity of this Penguin series that they did.
That which I don't know the exact ratings on it, but I know it was a big critical success. But again, that thing's taking forever to get off the ground too, because they can't. What is it, like 3 more years before we see the Pattinson sequel, and he's not going to do another season of the Penguin until they're done doing that.
Well, let me tell you, they're creating the same problems for themselves that Warner Brothers always had by having different people within. I mean, this is all Warner Brothers. There should be no rights related problems, but they set up these contractual obligations with this film writer and that film writer and this guy on TV, and that's where you run into the peas and carrots problem.
Troy, this sounds like more like a Men in Black movie than a Lanterns movie. I hate to say this. I wonder if that's how it was pitched. I didn't even think about that.
if it's more like that, where it does get into alien related stuff, I would probably be a little bit more open to it, but that's not what it's sounding like to me. It's sounding too much like, I mean, when they say True Detective, that sounds like a real police procedural to me. Like a murder or a heist or something. And I'm like, that's not Green Lantern stuff. That's maybe Batman stuff.
Yeah. That and the Batman made its money back. Yeah, it did. And that was an expensive movie, though. I have to tell you, though, do you know how much Warner Brothers is in the hole, though? I don't know if I mentioned this on Friday.
I don't think you mentioned it on air Friday. I think you told me
$40 billion. That's what I'd heard.
40 billion with a B.
I think they're trying to prop up all these franchises. I think I I think they really want to
look, here's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Do they need a win? Yes. But you never gamble when you're desperate. And every time you launch a franchise, every movie in Hollywood is inherently a gamble. So this is not a good place to be. We talk about the gambles that companies took back in the 70s and the 80s that led to our favorite franchises. Well, these were companies that were aflush with money. They had so much money, they had snow coming out of their ears, trying to be YouTube friendly here, you know?
Yeah.
So they felt, okay, we can take a risk. Hollywood has put themselves in a situation where they can't afford a risk, but they need to take a risk or they will fail. It's a desperate situation and they can't afford this.
CluuStudio says, woke screwed them up. Here's what happened with Warner Brothers. I think that screwed them up in regards to the Fantastic Beasts franchise when they wouldn't bring Johnny Depp back for it.
That
People
killed
were
that whole
about
franchise.
Yes.
It killed it.
They had more movies planned in it.
Netter and I just did a watch party on her channel of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. We enjoyed the Baker character so much that she wanted to see the other two because he's in it. And I'm like, okay, we'll check him out. We got the DVDs, but I said, don't count too much on the overall A plot here.
Sure, this could have worked. It was a Martian Manhunter movie. You know what it could have? If it was about him being a police detective and hiding the fact that he was
awesome would that have been?
That you could have done, and that would have made sense as an HBO series.
And then you could argue that John Jones has jurisdiction as a police officer, but because of some alien element, he needs to call in the Green Lanterns. That would be brilliant. But there you go. There's your problem right there. Their great Tom King can't come up with this kind of stuff.
Well, maybe he has, and we just don't know it yet. Or maybe it's going to be about them in plain clothes the whole series, and maybe you'll see them put the uniform on the ring at the very end.
You'll play Jingle Bells. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Let me try that.
You know what? They'll think it's an alien threat on Earth, and it'll just be some guy, some regular serial killer or something, right?
Right, who just looks a little weird, right? His eyes are set a little too
That'll be the whole show. I kid, of course. Obviously, the producers and the money people are watching this show. Again, I would have liked the Jon Stewart, Guy Gardner team up. That would have been more interesting to me, but oh well.
Well, you know what I think would probably be interesting to you is if we were talking games, like what's his name, Tony Hawk.
Oh boy, this is a double-edged
this something you're looking forward
here.
to? Double-edged sword.
It was, and now I don't know. But I'll one picture for both articles. But here we go. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 Remaster revealed. Does anybody in the chat like the Tony Hawk games? I almost did the good old days on Tony Hawk, but I figured nobody. I don't know if that's our audience. But Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is a skateboarding game franchise. Have you heard of it?
I have, yes. I certainly know who Tony Hawk is. I understand the concept.
Tony Hawk 1 premiered on the original Sony PlayStation back in the 90s. Ended up getting ports to the Nintendo 64. I had it on the Nintendo 64 as I was a Nintendo owner at the time. And also came out on the Sega Dreamcast. Continued on into the 6th generation of consoles with games like Tony Hawk 3 and 4, which are now getting remastered. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 Remaster revealed everything you need to know. The legendary skateboarding franchise is back for another round of remasters with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, bringing 2 classic entries to the modern era. It's available for pre-order now. It's in the same vein as 2021's remasters in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 with modern graphics and familiar gameplay, but this time it's being done by developer Iron Galaxy, known for porting games and original releases such as Rumbleverse and Killer Instinct. As far as content goes, it will feature all the skate parks from both games, as well as a new one teased at the end of the Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 reveal trailer. It's a new level called Water Park and looks to be a large, abandoned well water park with lots of verticality rides and ramps and railings making up the level. Skaters from previous remaster will return in addition to another batch of newcomers, including Aricia Leo, Chloe Covell, Jamie Foy, Zion Wright, and Yuto Horigomi. While it's confirmed that there will be new songs for the soundtrack, those have yet to be revealed. However, we know several songs remember from the old games will return for the soundtrack, and while the full list hasn't been revealed yet, here are the confirmed tracks. Amoeba by Adolescence, Ace of Spades by the Motorhead. That was the title track for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. You know Motorhead, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mass Appeal by Gangstar, 96 Quite Better Things by CKY. Not the Same by Body Jar, and Out of Here by KRS-One. There will be cross-platform online multiplayer for up to 8 players and a robust version of the Create a Park mode where players can make and share their own custom skate parks. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 isn't too far off. The remaster Tony Hawk's, it's set to release on July 11th this year for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC via Steam, Microsoft Store, and Battle.net. That's smart, allowing it available on all those things on computer. Don't just put them behind one paywall. Anyway, the game will be available on day one through Xbox Game Pass, and those who pre-order the deluxe or collector's editions can access the game early on July 8th. I believe the deluxe edition comes with a full skateboard. That's kind of neat. Huh?
That's interesting.
Actually, it says it right here. Oh, standard version is $49.99, while the deluxe version is $69.99. Comes with the Doom Slayer and Revenant skate. You can play the guy from the Doom games in Tony Hawk. He's on a skateboard. If you have to get the special edition though.
I mean, that's kind of weird, but it sounds kind of cool too. So
it harkens back to the days when Activision would publish Tony Hawk games. So if Activision, I think they released a Star Wars game around the same time as Tony Hawk 3. So Jango Fett was an unlockable skater in it. You know?
Oh my gosh! Okay.
And in another game, I think they were publishing an Iron Man game, so Iron Man is an unlockable skater. I think in the earlier games, you could unlock Spider-Man because they were publishing Spider-Man games at the time. So they would throw Spider-Man in there as an unlockable, so you could play Spider-Man in a Tony Hawk game. But
wild. That's wild.
The collector's edition is $129.99, includes all the aforementioned bonuses, but also comes with an exclusive physical skate deck by Birdhouse. That's Tony Hawk's official skateboard company. Those who can pre-order now have access to playable Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 demos starting today. It includes 2 skaters and 2 parks, along with a few songs from the soundtrack. So originally excited to buy this. Unfortunately, I believe it was Neversoft that made the remaster of 1 and 2, but they sort of got dissolved by Activision and were forced to work on Diablo 4 DLC content over at Blizzard. So they're not the ones making this remaster. So I'm a little trepidatious there. I didn't think this was going to happen, though. I thought that they were done after Tony Hawk 1 and 2, and they weren't going to do a remaster of 3 and 4. Oh, the guys who play Tony Hawk are really good at it, no fun to play with at all. You mean online? Yeah, they take it very seriously. I'm not too good at this game series, by the way. I will typically see my character fall over, and the skateboard ends up near his private areas, and just anyway.
Darth Vader had cheat codes on the Tony Hawk game. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, that's funny. Was he in the? He was probably one of the Tony Hawk games. I remember the arcade game Skate or Die. There was always a huge line to play it, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I had Skate or Die on the NES. I came close to doing a skateboarding game retrospective, but I'm as much as I like Tony Hawk, I'm not an expert at this series, so I didn't want to pretend to be. But don't want to be what they would call a poseur, right?
Poseur,
that's a French word. But I still love this game series. I love these kind of offbeat extreme sports titles. I wish the industry would do more of them. I like the fact they're doing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Skate or Die I had on the NES, and it just didn't work. I wanted to like it. It was actually one of the first games I bought with my own money for the NES, and it just didn't work because even back then in the 80s or the late 80s, early 90s, we were running skateboarding games, but nobody could quite pull it off until we got Tony Hawk's 1 and 2. A lot of the big games that we know of, like Street Fighter 2 or Doom or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, attempts had been tried before to make that style of game, but it hadn't quite come together yet. But it came together in Tony Hawk's 3 and 4. X Games on PS1 was pretty fun. Okay. Yeah. If you're talking about the Tony Hawk games, yeah. But here we have the other article, which now makes me pause. Now, I want to give Activision a little bit of grace, saying how I think that people are inferring something that may be there but might not be there. But let me read from this. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 could be making major change to Pro Skater 4. After over 4 years, we finally have confirmation of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake I've been dying for since the incredible Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake released in 2020. But they could be coming with a major change. While Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and its sequel followed the same format, albeit with extra goals being added for the original maps in the remake, Pro Skater 3 and 4 were very different games. While the former followed the original's 2-minute run to complete as many goals as possible formula, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 ditched it for free roaming structure that allowed you to take on specific missions one by one, talking to NPCs in the game. Upon the announcement of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, players notice a interesting line in the blog post released alongside the announcement of the remake. The parks from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 have been authentically remade in jaw-dropping 4K resolutions with streamlined goals in a 2-minute format. This is what has people upset, because they're arguing that the parks in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 were not designed for a 2-minute format. They were designed for a free roaming format. You know, you going up to non-player characters and getting a mission, like go grab that audio tape over there, or and you'll go pick it up. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I was expressing my understanding of the concept. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto Light kind of an idea.
Yeah, basically it was sort of like an open world, and they may have gotten inspiration from Grand Theft Auto 3, because Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 came out and they stuck to the format of the first two. There were some added stuff like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 actually would have non-player characters roaming around. Like one thing, you could stop like a burglar in one stage if you wanted to, with your skateboard. But it was still relying on that 2-minute format, whereas 4 kind of opened the world up, and that might have been done in part because now we're doing a lot of these open worlds, like what you saw with Grand Theft Auto 3. Mm-hmm. But the author of this article is upset. While this makes total sense for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, which followed that format, it seems to imply that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 has been reworked to follow the classic formula as opposed to its original free roaming style, despite claiming it to be authentically remade. This wouldn't be the first time the series has adapted free roaming to the original format, as later games like in the series like Tony Hawk's Underground 2 and American Wasteland featured a classic mode option that did just that. Personally, I really wanted a classic mode option for the Pro Skater 4 for this remake, as I much prefer it, but I'm not sure it's worth it having at the expense of the original formula. Of course, this panic could all be for nothing, as Activision hasn't confirmed out the specifics yet. So it could be that they're just adding a 2-minute format to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, but you can still play the free roaming mode. So before everybody freaks out, let's wait and see. But I think what I'm going to wait and see is I'm not going to pre-order it. I'm just going to wait for the reviews to come in. Maybe that's what I should do.
I don't understand why anyone pre-orders anything anymore anyway.
Well, if you want that fancy skate deck and the 129, those things disappear.
I
guess in that case, you're really buying it for the skateboard, aren't you? But
right, exactly.
And you get the game as a bonus. Another thing that annoys me about this release, though, it's getting a physical release for Xbox One and Xbox Series X because it's a combo disc, but unfortunately I own it digitally on the Xbox One. It's getting a physical release on PlayStation 5, but only a digital release on PlayStation 4. But I have a physical edition of it on PlayStation 4. And it's also coming out on Nintendo Switch, and I have it on Nintendo Switch, so I would probably end up getting a Nintendo Switch. And yes, I'm that insane that I bought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster on 3 different consoles.
Are the games that different that it's worthwhile?
The games, here's what it is. I know this sounds weird. There are certain games that I consider essential that you just want to have them on everything, and that's my own weird idiosyncrasy or weirdness. Like Doom, classic Doom.
I cannot condemn you for that. I've got my things too. You guys know I watch every possible fan edit of the Star Wars holiday special. So, I mean, how am I going to cast shade?
That or it was snap judgments I made. You know what it was? I was never going to get it on the Switch because the Switch is inferior hardware. But from all the reviews came in, and they actually did their best to get it to run fairly well on the Nintendo Switch. It's only at 1080p and 30 frames per second, but the fact is it has a smooth performance on the Switch, even though they had to kind of dial back the frames. So, and it was on sale for like $20. So that's what I got it. So we'll see.
I can see it as an impulse buy, so whatever.
Hold on, I'm missing the chat. Sorry, I get so distracted talking. What did I miss? Mickey Thompson's Off-Road. I love that game. Wait a minute. I think I remember Off-Road. Do you remember Off-Road?
I don't know that one, no.
It's the one where you had all the little cars on the scene and like the dirt tracks, and you would look down on it. That was another famous arcade game. I actually had that on Super Nintendo. And I think there was a version for the NES where you could use the four player add-on for it and actually play it 4-player. I always liked it when they did that. Hold on, who's talking about one of my favorite games of all time? Darth Plater. Some sounds of the arcade are just are immortal. The Joust sounds, Beware I Live. Best Warrior is about to die. Yes, and I remember Beware I Live. That is from the game Sinistar. Have you ever played Sinistar?
Never heard of it.
It was a Bally Midway arcade game, and you're going around and you're like shooting asteroids, and like you get pellets from shooting the asteroids, and then in the background you hear this thing saying this voice is saying, "Beware I live, beware I live," and then suddenly this horrible skull, like moon skull star thing, comes at you, and it comes after your spaceship. And like, if you run away, he says, "Run, coward!" You know, like he says that.
Chicken
it's one of the
creepiest
like things
robot.
I've seen. Yeah, kind of like it's this weird alien star. And he would even say when you beat the game, he says, "I am Sinistar," and it had actual voice in the arcade game. It was one of those early Midway arcade games. I used to get confused because I always used to consider Midway arcade games Atari arcade games because I think Midway used to belong to Atari. And then they separated. I don't know. So maybe it was weird. But I remember Joust, and I remember Red Warrior About to Die. That's from Gauntlet. We did a Gauntlet for Good Old Days one time.
Yes, we did. Absolutely. I did want to bring up Darth Plato's. Thank you very much, Darth, for $2. Sinistar is legend. I must assume that's true for. I mean, if you're willing to spend $2 to make sure that we highlight that comment, I'd say it must be.
This is more of my insanity. Midway Arcade Classics collections, whatever system they'll come out on that I own, I will pick them up because I love Midway arcade games. They released a rather good one on the original Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And it's actually compatible with the Xbox One as well. But it has all of the big Midway games except for Paperboy. I don't know why they left Paperboy off the collection, but it has everything else. It has Rampage, it has Sinistar, it has Wizard of War, it has Gauntlet 1 and 2. It has a ton of those old arcade games on it. It's really neat. In fact, that 1-Up Arcade brand, the 1-Up Arcade brand where you can buy like pseudo life-size recreations of arcade games.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
They did one for Midway. In fact, I think it was in their Mortal Kombat cabinet where you got Mortal Kombat, but you also got all the Midway arcade games. And I don't normally buy those things because I don't have room for them, but I would be tempted to buy the Midway one because I'm a big fan. Because Rampage, Gauntlet, Paperboy, these are just goofy games. These are just really cool American arcade games from back in the day. But of course, Tony Hawk is an Activision title, and Activision has a long history with video games too. So, yeah. All right, moving on.
Yeah, now we're going to have to get a little political because unfortunately these companies want to be political.
Are you a Hasbro?
Not by a long shot. I have only been buying things from Hasbro when I feel an absolute necessity, certain Star Wars toys and so forth. But I've been very dissatisfied, especially with how much these things cost and with their distribution model, which leads directly into this issue we're going to talk about tonight.
A new toy for little Jenny or Joey may be pricier very soon as Trump tariffs ripple through a mostly China-based toy supply chain. I think for the toy category, it's probably months. Hasbro CEO Chris Cox told me on Yahoo Finance's opening bid podcast. Cox in New York City for the 2025 Toy Fair, where Hasbro showed off the latest for Monopoly, Play-Doh, and Nerf, was referencing when toy prices would go up as a result of fresh tariffs from the Trump administration.
Let me stop you right there. So, in other words, if you are upset by the fact that we have to raise your prices yet again, you can blame Trump for this. And I'm sitting here going, you have been exploiting slave labor wages in China for decades, still charging ridiculous effing prices, couldn't get the toys into the United States during the lockdowns because shipping problems, right? And you still have not brought your factories back to the United States. So I'm sorry. This is on you.
Do you remember?
I'm trying not to swear.
Remember the selling point of NAFTA? Wasn't the toy manufacturing supposed to go to Mexico? But because that was what they were going to get for losing their farms from cheap American produce, but you'll get to work at the factory making the toys for the Americans. Then suddenly the toys are being made in China.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And I'm just saying that if you're going to, farm out your production to another country, maybe not one overseas, maybe one in your same hemisphere might be the way to go.
The president imposed 25% duties on Canadian Mexican imports following a 30-day pause. He also implemented a second round of 10% duties on Chinese imports after instituting 10% in February. The targeted countries wasted no time hitting back. China unveiled a 15% tariff on U.S. chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton products, an additional 10% tariff on sorghum, soybeans, pork, beef, seafood, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. The new tariffs from China are set to go into effect on March 10th.
Yep.
Okay, so this is Yahoo. Yahoo's, yes.
And whenever, it's not like Yahoo is an unbiased source. But every time I deal with somebody that tries to school me in how all my prices are going to be going up because of the current administration, I point out, no, the prices are going up because we chose to do business in other countries and outsource to other countries, take all of our jobs and send them to other countries. And by putting these tariffs on, what the president is basically saying, we're putting America first. We want you to buy American. I don't know if you are a union type of person. Usually the people that are anti-Trump tend to be of the political assuasion that is pro-union, pro-labor. If you're pro-union and pro-labor, you don't want jobs going overseas. You want them here in the United States, which is why so many unions supported Trump in the last election.
Also,
these things kind of make rational sense if you have a rational brain to engage. And so when it comes to things like toys that, as much as I love them, I really, really do, I don't need them to survive. I don't need them to live. You know what I do need? Food. Why am I paying for food coming from another country?
Anyway, I did want to mention, too, that weren't these tariffs a response to basically a certain illegal substances entering this country and killing a lot of our citizens? I could be wrong about that. But wasn't this
Yes,
in retaliation for that? It wasn't a warning to knock it off? And
partly, and there's a bunch of other economic and security issues that are being addressed through these tariffs. But honestly, we are realizing that China needs us financially more than we need them. And in the short term, yes, that does mean that whatever products we get from China are going to be more expensive. So you people that are all tax the rich, tax the rich. Well, guess what? That's exactly what this is. This is a consumption tax on the rich. If you can't live without your Chinese imported whatever crap it is, then you're going to pay extra for it. You know, and people that don't have as much money will find other options here in the United States that may be as good or better. And if Hasbro doesn't want to go out of business, well, first maybe they should stop sending the Pinkertons after people that get some cards that they didn't intend to send to them. But let's put that aside. And maybe they should stop wokeifying Dungeons and Dragons, since they can barely sell their most recent edition of D&D. That was an article that we left off that we maybe get to next week. But yeah, maybe you start bringing your production back to the United States. You know, or better yet, decentralize. Maybe have production here in the States, have production in the UK, have production in Australia. Because guess what? Those places buy those toys. And they're the ones that sometimes have the hardest time getting those toys, because they go from China to the US, and then you decide whether or not you're going to send them to Australia or not.
Hasbro can't deliver anything because they have stupid leadership.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Doesn't understand why a toy company. Yeah.
Yeah, their CEO is named Cox. That's what he's got in his brains.
Okay. Anyways. Yeah. So just for warned, man. I'm just saying. You know, your toys that you can't see because they got rid of the plastic for environmentalist reasons, right?
No. They pulled back on that. They've gone back to deciding that it's okay to have, because the collectors just in mass said they're not going to be buying anymore, and they saw the sales of their Marvel. I want to say it was Marvel Legends. I don't collect any of the Marvel toys, so I don't know anything about them. But all of their deluxe toys were in these boxes you couldn't see into, and people stopped buying them. So they're like, yeah, maybe we'll back off on that a little bit. But what they're still doing that's still annoying a lot of the collectors is collectors buying Star Wars toys want them to be in, and you've seen them, you know, the classic size card back with the classic size bubble that you could put into star cases, those acrylic boxes that you could buy from third parties to protect the boxes to display them. Well, they've decided now that they want to put some figures, they want to make them deluxe figures, and they want to put them on oversized cards. And the toys are, and the toy collectors are going, you know, I used to buy 2 of every figure, one to display and one to take out a package. Now I'm only going to be buying 1 to take out a package because I can no longer display them the way I want to display them because you guys are idiots. So they're making bad decision after bad decision. And I'm just saying, whatever you think about the tariffs, the economy of it, whether or not you like Trump, look past all that and realize that Hasbro is using this as an excuse to raise prices. This has nothing to do with Trump. This has everything to do with, hey, Trump's raising the prices on tariffs, so we're going to use that as an excuse to crank up the price on these toys.
Pensek says, does anyone know if Hasbro's distribution has been a mess since they acquired Kenner? When did they acquire Kenner?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. It had to be in the 90s, early
Right.
2000s.
Because I remember Kenner, they were the ones who always released these Star Wars figures back in the 80s.
And yes, they always have, since that, well, partly since then. This is very complicated. People like Michael French would actually have better insights on this than I would. But they have very much, and I would say this is very similar to the issue that I see with streaming services versus network television. Stupid idea to try and corner the market, right? Or movie companies trying to cut out theaters by sending things to streaming. Yeah. Hasbro has their exclusive Hasbro Pulse. In other words, you go and buy directly from Hasbro. Now, you would think in every other business, if you cut out the middleman, you're going to pay a lesser price. No, that's not the case. You're going to pay a premium because you're paying to get it directly from them, and because it's exclusive. You can only get it from Hasbro Pulse. So if you're buying exclusively from Hasbro Pulse, because you can't get it in the store, well, then you probably won't have a problem. They will mail it to you directly. Now, some people get it before others, which is a real problem for people that are, trying to do YouTube videos to promote or review toys, because, some people get them before others for reasons. We won't get too into that. But while everyone's getting their toys and reviewing them, I'm still waiting for my pre-order from a year ago, Hasbro, But then there is the ones that, if they're an exclusive, say, at Target, or they are an exclusive at some other store, and that store sells out, well, you're screwed. Because they were all bought up by scalpers that are going to now have those toys on eBay for 3 times the price. There's Hasbro's business model. There's their distribution model. So there you go.
Moving on. No segue.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was so busy ranting. I had to.
We can't always have a say. I don't know how you go from toys to this anyway.
But here's a company. Okay, here. I'll give you a segue. Here's a company that maybe is starting to get their fiscal responsibility on straight. As even though it is Disney, maybe they're starting to realize that they need to get profitable again. So they're going to start some cost-cutting measures. Cost-cutting read as head-cutting.
Yes. You post the article?
Didn't I? Oh, I didn't press the button to send. Sorry. It's sitting there, but you can't see it.
You saw it. I just didn't see it.
I can see it, but you can't see it.
The weird alien head. This is going to turn into a J horror movie at some point.
I know.
Right. I'm going to be seeing it while I sleep. All right. ABC News to lay off dozens, merge Good Morning America and GMA3 X535 data site. I don't even know what half this stuff is. That might be why people are getting laid off.
Good Morning America 3. I guess there's another.
They had a Good Morning America 3. There was another Good Morning America.
I mean, what happened to GMA2? Wasn't it any good? I don't know.
They don't talk about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not that funny. Okay, ABC News staffers began packing up their desks Wednesday amid layoffs as the embattled network restructured its programming that include merging 2020 and Nightline and consolidating its Good Morning America productions, the Post has learned. Parent company Disney reported planning to lay off around 200 people from its ABC News Group division, as well as its Disney Entertainment Networks unit, a move that constitutes cutting some 6% of the combined staff of the two units. Almin Karamedovic, president of ABC News, circulated a memo to employees on Wednesday morning confirming the changes. As we've often talked about, streamlining our operations to best serve our viewers and continue to position ourselves as a leading news organization has been a goal for some time, the ABC News boss wrote in an email, a copy of which was obtained by the Post. rethinking the way we work to future-proof our team regrettably includes reductions to our extraordinary staff. Their boss wrote, I'm not saying the name again, adding, these decisions are incredibly challenging and today will undoubtedly be difficult for our organization. Is anybody watching this stuff still?
No, I don't
They're
think
talking
so.
about future. This is network television.
The vast
right?
majority of people are getting their news from the internet now. They are not tuning into these shows. So I don't know why you need the kind of staff that they've been managing.
I mean, I feel like a lot of these former like Fox people ended up starting their own stuff on their own, and they're being more successful than they were on Fox. Like, I think Bill O'Reilly started his own thing, Tucker, and I think Megyn Kelly. They're all off on their own now. I mean, I feel like this might be a bit of
Tucker
a dinosaur.
Carlson and Megyn Kelly are getting better viewership on their own online than these institutional outlets, and they have much. I mean, like 10% the overhead. Yeah. They have tiny little staffs.
A lot cheaper. I mean, it's a sign of the times, but I think that these are. I hate to say this. I think these are dinosaurs.
Yes.
The ABC News president added that it bears repeating how profoundly grateful and proud I am to be leading a truly remarkable team that consistently delivers the best our profession has to offer. As we look ahead, I remain confident in our ability to continue to set the bar for journalistic excellence. I am so proud of all you do, he wrote in the memo. I don't know. Of course, the thing I don't get what keeps the late night hosts on TV, but that's another story. It says one casualty of the cost-cutting measures is 535 Data News site, the operation founded by Nate Silver, which came to prominence in the 2008 and 2012 elections for accurately predicting the results. Did it accurately predict the results for the last couple elections?
Exactly.
Because it's okay. According to
Wall
Street,
Rasmussen called it. All the rest of these were ridiculous. They couldn't predict when flatulence was going to come out of their backsides.
According to the Wall Street Journal, the entire site is being axed, and all of its 15 of its employees will be handed pink slips. Oh, they're just done. Period. ABC is planning to consolidate Good Morning America and its third hour GMA3 into one production unit, according to the report.
Now I get it. GMA3 is the third hour of the show. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
One ABC staffer told Status that people are freaked, and it wasn't clear when the layoffs would be announced this week. Disney is also laying off employees at its Disney Entertainment Networks, which oversees cable channels, including Freeform and FX. ABC News is navigating major industry-wide changes and internal restructuring efforts. Well, here's what I understand. They all threw their lot in with streaming. What did they expect was going to happen? When you get out of the habit of watching...
Again, like I said, this was them thinking that they could bypass, the middleman, and you come to them, and they'd have exclusives, and people were like, "You're not providing us with a product that we want badly enough."
All right. So you and I need to talk a little bit about the good old days. In the good old days of cable, and even prior to cable, you had this thing called a remote control, and you'd sit by your TV and you'd flip around. Yep. And maybe you didn't have stuff that was on demand.
Right.
Streaming, especially streaming, even before that, even cable was starting this, though. Now all programming is on demand. So when you can watch whatever you want, you're just not going to flip on Good Morning America. Well, this looks okay. I'll just watch this for a half hour or something.
Yep.
They contributed to their own demise with this.
And that's the other thing. What happens if you are, working and you can't watch a morning show? If it's Megyn Kelly, I can catch that on my lunch hour. I can catch it when I get home. Yeah. Good Morning America. I'm sorry. I'm not setting up a VCR to record it.
Now, I assume that these shows, are these also on streaming? Could I watch Good Morning America at 6 in the evening if I wanted to?
I have zero clue.
I would assume
I have not cared enough to look into it that far.
I did catch that 160-minute segment about Germany recently because I found the clips I saw terrifying. I'm like, I need to watch this entire thing. So I did watch that portion of that episode. I'm like, this is not a place I'd want to be living right now. But
No, they've
because I
made.
saw a
Well,
lot of
there's
the
another.
YouTube
They've made
commentators
some
talk about it.
very, very bad decisions regarding their energy, and now they are suffering because of it. And everybody who was looking at them was going, "This is not going to go well." It's like it's the very basic. What happens next, right? You make a decision. Everybody knows what's going to happen, but you apparently don't, and you make that jump or whatever, and you land on the bar straddling it, and everyone goes, "Yep, I knew that was going to happen." That's what's happening in Germany right
Or on your DVR. Yes, DVRs, they can still be a thing. Oddly enough, we do get Sling TV we do pay for Sling
now.
TV, which gives us a lot of, because my mom wanted to, we cut satellite, but my mom still wanted to catch her news channels. But
Sure.
Sling TV comes with a lot of the basic news channels and a few others, and you can actually set up your DVR to record the news shows, and then you have them. But it's like a cloud DVR, not like the old DVR, which was an actual box you had hooked up to your TV, which would record so many hours on a box in
Right.
your house.
Yep.
Wonderful how technology changes. So what do you think the future of ABC News is?
It's going to get much smaller. I don't think it's going to go away completely, but it's going to become a much smaller thing. They're going to have to economize. Time to tighten their belts considerably. But all of these people, they say, are so concerned about the layoffs coming up this week and whatnot. Just go apply at CBS. I understand they want to hire you. Check out WDW Pro did a talk about how it looks like as people are getting let go from these companies, they're getting picked up by CBS because CBS is trying to scuttle the Skydance merger.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting. Because they don't want the new management that's probably going to tell them to, straighten up and fly right. Troy, it sounds like the snake is eating itself.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I did want to mention, though, last month the Post reported that Good Morning American host George Stephanopoulos. It's funny how a guy from my childhood he's still kicking around. I remember him from the Clinton administration back when I was 18. George Stephanopoulos, one of the network's most prominent figures, has been feeling miserable after being required to apologize as part of a defamation settlement related to President Donald Trump, because he accused him of being something that it was never proved of that he did.
Yep.
An incorrect on-air claim that Trump had been found liable to one of the worst things you can do. Yes.
Yep. Which absolutely was not true. And look, if you are getting these big bucks from these companies, you need to produce. And ethics are a thing. They always were in reporting the news, right? Yep. Maybe we need to get back to that and remember that. And if you need to be slapped in the face with a lawsuit to remind you, then that's what'll happen.
Disney is the kid that tried to jump the fence, but
got caught on the fence. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And everyone sees it coming. Everyone knows it's going to happen. And then you just
did all of us do that once in childhood?
No, I was always the guy watching and laughing. I was the one going, ha ha.
I don't think that happened to me, but something happened to me on a fence post. I think I got caught on one when I was trying to jump and I couldn't get off. It was a weird thing, but yeah. Because that's what you did when you were a kid. You jumped the fences, and this was like wooden beam fences too, and they were tall too. I think I was trying to climb up it. I don't remember why I was doing that now. Okay, but I have a memory of that. Memories are weird. Speaking of memories that may be false or may be real,
it may just be a replicant. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Like, I'm sure we'll find out Decker was definitely a replicant. I'm sure it'll be mentioned every episode.
I'm wondering if they'll even mention Decker in this new one.
Come on. There we go.
There you go.
I don't have a good feeling about this show, but we'll see.
We'll see.
I'll keep an open mind because it's not a movie; it's another streaming series, and we all love
Yes,
those.
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner is carrying on an impressive legacy. Fans of the 1982 sci-fi classic, just call it a science fiction classic, please. Likely never dreamed of getting another film in the dystopian neo-noir world Scott expertly crafted. That is until Denis Villeneuve got his shot at making a sequel. With Blade Runner 2049, the Dune director made a sequel so good it could stand on its own, and now Prime Video has put together an impressive team to expand on the Blade Runner saga in Blade Runner 2099, an upcoming sequel series that promises to take the franchise back to its roots. I really want to rant. I really want to rant. I almost did Blade Runner 2049 for good old days, but then I realized no, because my thing for good old days is anything before 2014. Basically, that's how I'm dating it. Blade Runner came out later. It was still a great movie, but I don't like the fact they're doing a sequel series. This is bothering me. This is actually one of the few times where I would have liked it if they had actually done a prequel series. Maybe show how the Blade Runner unit started.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And you could either focus on a young Decker who we know had a career as a Blade Runner. Yeah. Because it was talked about in the first movie, or have it be a different Blade Runner, but maybe show about the earlier them having to deal with replicants earlier on. That might have been an interesting noir detective series. It could have been set in the Blade Runner universe, and there you go. That could be you taking it back to the roots.
Yeah.
Instead, Blade Runner 2049 is a show-stopping sci-fi. Okay, Blade Runner 2049 is a show-stopping sci-fi film starring Ryan Gosling as a replicant Blade Runner who is confronted by hints of potential reality-altering past, while Villeneuve's sequel beautifully captured a minimalist, hologram-focused sci-fi dystopia. The original featured a grittier and more chaotic visual world. What movie did he see? I thought the world of Blade Runner 2049 was fairly gritty, considering. Maybe not as gritty as the one. It was slightly better, like half a point better, because the world wasn't gearing toward destruction anymore. It had sort of stabilized. It just stabilized into something that was pretty awful. That's how I saw it. But anyway, let's go. Prime's sequel series, Blade Runner 2099, will take place after the riveting events of both the original film and its contrasting sequel, and will star dynamic actors Michelle Yeoh, Euphoria's Hunter Schafer, Demetria Bold, and Furiosa star Tom Burke. I wonder if he's the one on CB Strike. He's actually a good actor. If he's playing a Blade Runner, that might be interesting. He could have played a young Decker, or Decker. Never mind. I'm not going to go into it. A small screen sequel to Blade Runner has finally wrapped production after years of development. In a recent interview at Variety about his long list of upcoming projects, including a new Steven Soderbergh thriller, Black Bag, Burke revealed that the sequel series will attempt to capture the essence of the original film. There was a moment of just letting go. I was like, oh, okay, we're really going out there with this. The series is much closer to the aesthetic of the first movie than the second movie, returning to that kind of Baroque, eclectic mix of cultures and time periods. That will certainly please fans who prefer Scott's film to Villeneuve's sequel, which adds more scope to the world of Blade Runner. It did do that, yes, but I felt like it still took place in the same world. I don't know what people were complaining about. While Blade Runner is a classic sci-fi film with distinct place in cinema canon, the film has since had 6 additional cuts, which change key details from visual to voiceovers, in addition to the widely known original release of the debuted in theaters in June 25th, 1982. But the overall cut of Scott's masterpiece was a hazy neo-noir that blends 80s and futuristic aesthetics, which Burke confirms fans will see influence in the upcoming series. Blade Runner 2099 will not only continue to expand the artistic endeavors of the original films, but according to Burke, will also explore the overarching, highly intriguing theme of the entire franchise, what makes humans humans. It's a lot to do with that thing quite intrinsic to the source material in the movie, which is actually what makes somebody human and what makes somebody not human. Or when does somebody cross some threshold? Can we really have a full sense of humanity without being very aware of our own dual sides? We all have the capacity for great evil as well as great good. I suppose Every genre does that to some extent, but I do feel that morality, that whole kind of thing, is handled so well in Blade Runner world to me. It's got subtleties and nuances to it that I don't think necessarily all sci-fi always has. Well, at least it sounds like he's a fan of Blade Runner. Fans
Yeah,
of the dystopian franchise should take this as a great sign of what's to come from the Prime Video series, which does not yet have a restate. My problem is that it's a Prime Video series, and those can be hit or miss. And
agreed.
with,
And
especially
we
with
keep
genre
talking.
stuff, it's miss.
We keep talking too about the fans doing the best work. We got to start creating our own stuff. Well, I've been saying this for a long time about franchises that I've been dissatisfied with. um, Time to stop. Support if this is turns out to be crap, right? Or we get tired of waiting for the next Blade Runner project. There are role playing games that you can go to and literally start creating your own stories in those universes. Now, I don't know too much about the Blade Runner role playing game. It's put out by a company called Free League. I don't know too much about them other than they also do a role playing game set in the Walking Dead universe. And you can go pick up those games and start role playing with your friends and creating your own stories in those universes. And I would imagine if you want to play Decker or any of the other characters that you've seen in the movies, you absolutely could take the stories in a different direction. Just saying.
See, I would have liked to have seen a series that takes place like in the original Blade Runner time, the original movie, but maybe do a different coast instead of Los Angeles. What's going on in
Yeah,
New York City? With a different Blade
absolutely.
Runner unit. That might have been interesting. I don't know about this show. I do like that actor. He's a good actor. Michelle Yeoh's a good actor. So we'll see how this turns out. I love to see Terminator.
Invasion, a Terminator invasion in Blade Runner to uh, make it interesting to watch, because so far I don't understand Blade Runner. That's interesting.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
That's the point. Okay. Here's what I think. I've heard people make arguments, and they said they're clones. Replicants are clones.
No, they're not
Nope.
clones.
They're robots, androids. In the book, they were, but not on the movie. What I think they are is they have created artificial life.
Yes,
They've
that's
created
exactly what
artificial
they've done.
cells, artificial DNA. These are artificial creatures that still have their own DNA and blood and
But they are
organs
also
and
but
things.
they are also programmable, and they can implant memories into them and all this kind of
Like
stuff.
biotechnology, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so that allows you to, and this is I think what's great about hard science fiction. It causes you to look at things in a philosophical way. What does it
Yes.
mean to be human? What does it mean to have free will? Do humans have free will? At what point does an artificial intelligence become so close to real, so close to natural, that it is effectively sentient? you
Yeah.
know and actually, the more I watch, and I keep forgetting the second Blade Runner movie, the Denis Villeneuve
Yes.
one.
Yes.
The more I look at that one, the more I think not only did he get that whole argument, but he raises the stakes of it, where you literally have someone who knows he's a replicant, who starts to doubt. He starts to wonder if he might actually be real. No, he's not.
If he was
He
born.
knows. Right, exactly.
Yes.
And are his memories actually inserted, or are they natural? And you start to realize, how can you ever be sure of that in a world where memories can be inserted? How do you know that you haven't been flashy thinged, and things have been deleted from your memory and another memory has been added in its place? You would have no way to
Yes.
know.
The one replicant woman that was wanting to lead the revolution, who made a point that, if a replicant can give birth, then we are more than slaves.
Right.
Okay, we're just, that was her reasoning behind that. That's why it's dangerous if that gets out.
And see,
And
and you
you
think
actually,
about it,
yeah,
you realize that look, the way artificial intelligence works right now is you create a program, you create a robot, you create a whatever. It can't create another one
yes,
of its. You can program it to create parts. You can even create a robot to create other robots, but to be able to do it in a naturalistic way by combining its DNA with someone else's and create a life
yes,
form that doesn't get programmed, that literally starts creating memories itself from the beginning. I mean, I kind of go back to the measure of a man in Star Trek: The Next Generation. At that point, how is this discernibly different from natural life? Are you prepared to say it's not?
yeah.
And then honestly, for the past decade or so, I've been looking at human beings online, and I'm like, these human beings couldn't pass a Turing test. You know,
Yes. Oh,
the
yes.
I mean, it's getting to
That's
the
the
point
problem. Yeah.
where generative AI seems more human to me than actual human beings. Because you look at them and you go, you are just an inhuman monster.
It's
You are
because I think,
actually verbally saying and broadcasting online that you want certain people to be removed from existence. That is the most inhuman thing there is.
yes,
Right? How does that make you any better than the bad man from Germany with the bad mustache?
that's the thing, though. Throughout human history, we've had people like that rise
Yes.
to power and do horrible things. People always cite that one man, but it's gone on
Yeah.
over and over
Oh,
again.
oh, oh. But
Yeah.
Stalin, he was okay, right?
No,
Because he
no,
was on our side fighting that guy, right? Even though
he
he
was.
wiped out more of his own people than the Germans did. And now that it's convenient to not like the people with the hammer and sickle, now the current one is bad, but that Stalin guy, he was okay.
Well, oh wait, Darth Plato says, "Well, slaves gave birth in the past. That's hardly proof." Basically, in the movie, here's what it is: it's not the replicants trying to justify their existence to humans that they're more. It's them trying to justify to themselves that they are not what they are told they are. That's what it
See,
was,
it
right?
it
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can, that is actually a great
yeah.
comparison
Yes,
because in during well, and I obviously I know American history better than world history, but there's always been people that were sympathetic to slaves, right? They
yes,
knew, in your core, other human beings have humanity and deserve a certain degree of dignity,
yes,
and to try stripping that away really hurts you. And so you're always going to have the anti-slave, push, that basically led to the Civil War, right? You have
yeah,
you had people, and you could say it was North and South, but it wasn't just North and South, right? There were people that believed slavery was wrong. There was people that believed we have a manifest destiny. It's right. We can subjugate whomever we want because we're better.
right.
Okay. Well, when eventually you come to blow on matters of morality, that's fine. But here, at least, you have a little bit different. It's easier to say these are not living creatures at all because we created them. They are robots. They are very realistic looking artificial life forms. Oh, wait a minute. No, they can actually replicate the same way we do. They can have babies. They can form
Well,
new
the
memories.
villain of the
They
movie
can
wanted that.
feel. Yeah, they
Yes,
can feel. You know. So now, only now can people start to justify. Oh, wait a minute. And now you go right back to the abolitionists, in the 1800s, who were like, no, wait a minute, these are human beings, and they need to be treated as such. And that's the fear. As long as the powers that be could keep you from seeing them as human,
Yeah.
they could continue their assertion of power. That's why science fiction is so great. It allows you to have these kind of philosophical conversations and then start looking at the real world and saying, oh, this has an application here.
I need to do RoboCop for good old days one of these weeks. But Jessica Hardo is saying
Absolutely.
RoboCop movie does the human question better. Is it going to do the human question better on the RoboCop series coming to Amazon?
Exactly.
They're doing an Amazon series. The only thing that gives me hope for that is that James Wan's involved, and James Wan's a competent director. So if he's running things, we'll see.
And I want to say welcome to Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips. Good to see you there, my friend. Glad to see you here. Knowledge is awesome. Yes, knowledge is power. But yeah.
Sorry, Jesse.
So yeah, right. We'll see.
Let's move on to.
Yeah, this was something that I was alluding to at the beginning of the show. My exact reason why I feel that the Oscars has lost the plot. And I've got my own theory about why a large swatch of these people were very much snubbed in recognition, in remembrance. Yeah. This is why you come to Geeky Geezers, because we will do the in remembrances of these people. Don't count on the people giving away little gold trinkets to do that.
Yes. The 2025 Oscars got reflective with the traditional in memoriam segment celebrating the entertainment figures who died over the past year as the names scrolled on screen. Notable names in filmmaking, including David Lynch, Maggie Smith, James Earl Jones, and Donald Sutherland, were recognized during the emotional segment. We covered them on our channel as well.
Yes, we absolutely did.
The Harriet the Spy star Michelle Trachtenberg, who died Wednesday before the Oscars, was not included in the In Memoriam segment. This year, actors including Tony Todd, Chance Perdomo, Alan Delon, Annie Hall star Tony Roberts, Linda Levine, James Darren, Mitzi Gaynor, Martin Mull, and Romeo and Juliet star Olivia Hussey were also admitted, along with documentary filmmaker Morgan Spurlock. I feel like our channel has we've done a better job here on this show than the Oscars did with In Memoriams. I think we covered all of those people, or most of them.
Yes, we
did. We covered all of them, actually. Yes. Gene Hackman, who was found dead with his wife on Wednesday, was remembered with a tribute from Morgan Freeman, who worked with the two-time Oscar winner on Unforgiven and Under Suspicion. Quincy Jones also got his own separate Oscar tribute later in the show. The tribute reel unspooled to an orchestral presentation of Mozart's Requiem in D minor, known as Lacrimosa, though some commenters on social media found it too lachrymose even for a segment dedicated to the memory of those who have passed away. But no matter how many people are remembered, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences can't dedicate an unlimited number of time to listing names and photos. So every year, a few notable entertainers are omitted, which often causes an outcry on social media. The Academy traditionally posts a longer list on its website. Other performers and creatives who were remembered during the show segment include Gina Rowlands, Terry Garr, Shelley Duvall, Bob Newhart, John Amos, Roger Corman, and Robert Town. Okay. I feel that I kind of get Michelle Trachtenberg and Shannon Doherty. They were late in the week. They might not have had time to prep them for the show. I mean, they could have.
No, Shannon Doherty passed away a good time ago.
Oh, that's right. She did.
They had absolutely plenty. In fact, she passed away in, when was it? She passed in.
You're right. It was a while.
Yeah, she was July of last year. They had plenty of time. But you know what else she was? She was also a registered Republican.
I have no idea why Tony Todd wasn't there.
Michelle Trachtenberg. If they could mention Gene Hackman, they had time to mention Michelle Trachtenberg. Now
Gene
let me tell
Hackman,
you. Go ahead.
He might not have been mentioned in the reel. I think it was Morgan Freeman stepped up and said something for Gene Hackman.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't watch the show. Deleted scenes might.
But you know what? You know what else? You could Michelle Trachtenberg and what's her name?
Shannon Doherty.
Olivia Hussey had in common?
Yeah.
What did they have in common?
They were abuse victims, maybe.
Yes, and they were outspoken about it. So
Yes.
I'm not saying this is why Olivia Hussey was snubbed, but maybe. Just saying. There's a whole lot of really big names here that were well beloved, that made a lot of money for Hollywood, and the so-called Academy of Motion Pictures didn't bother to say boo about them. And you're absolutely right. Tony Todd, for crying out loud, Tony effing Todd.
They left a lot of genre actors out. Oh no, how they're still being snobs, but but now they will nominate a token like genre movie for the best movie now, but which will never win, obviously. But they'll throw one on there. But they're not going to nominate actors who made the genre what it was. And Tony Todd wasn't just in genre pictures.
I was just going to say, he wasn't just horror either.
He was known for those, though. Yes.
Yeah. He was
on
in
Star Trek
so
too.
Many things. Yeah. He was in Star Trek. He was a character actor on all kinds of television and in movies. You know? And I'll tell you, when I met him, I said to him, I'm like, you are a great actor because you can scare the hell out of me, and at the same time you could play a character that I just love so much I want to give a hug to.
Tony Todd was the Vincent Price of our time. I agree.
Kinda, yeah. Oh, yeah. That is a great analogy. Yes.
Him, Jeffrey Combs is another one who I consider kind of a Vincent Price type. But yeah, Tony Todd, he was best known for playing Candyman, but he was in other movies. He was the mortician in those Final Destination
here in Chicago, movies. Yeah.
He was in Night of the Living Dead remake as Ben. He was excellent in that.
Yes, he was.
It's a great performance along with Dwayne Jones, who did the original. It's a different... there's a scene in Night of the Living Dead remake which I really liked when Ben, of course, you can tell right off the bat in that movie, he hates Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper hates him. It's like, I haven't known you very long, but I already don't like you very much. And I thought it was funny because it's almost like, just like on Star Trek, where it's like an echo of like them repeating the events over. So like maybe on some level he knows he's been through this before. But when he goes down and he sees the daughter that got bit, he's genuinely, what do I want to say? He cares about, the man's daughter and is upset that she got bit and says, look, we are going to try to get you out of here. He felt bad about that. You could see it on his face. And, I mean, he was a parole officer on Caught Up starring, I'm sorry. These things go by so fast. Hold on. Sorry about that. Can you read that? From Clue, it was a Clue Channel comment. Hold on.
There we go. Oh, no. A parole officer in Caught Up, starring Bookham Woodbine. Is that the one?
Okay. I haven't seen it, but maybe I should look for it.
The Academy has always had an issue with the horror genre. Oh, and this one I really liked. Geek Flag said that Tony Todd and he were born in the same hospital, DC General in Washington, D.C. Okay. And Matanui's right. Kind of wasted in a bit in Spider-Man 2. Absolutely true. So
yeah, Spider-Man 2. I'm trying to remember.
But I'll tell you, these people deserve to be honored. Look, we are not. See, this is the funny thing. I even have clues saying that we are so much better than these $1 million operations. Look, this isn't even what we do. This isn't even our full-time job here. And even as far as Geeky Geezers go, it's not just about the in remembrances. We do it out of a sense of, we feel a certain obligation to these people who have entertained us, that were beloved to us and had an impact on our lives. And we want to take a moment out of our show to acknowledge them. And yet, literally, it is the Academy Awards. It is their job. That's what they exist for, is to honor these celebrities. And for them not to do it, they're not even doing their job. But they have millions and millions of dollars for these big galas and all the dresses and the beautiful hair and who are you wearing and red carpet and, gift
Swag
bags and dinners and,
Okay, who got Troy started?
Well, I get angry about things like this.
Like how Troy started was the fact they admitted a lot of these actors, and I guess they.
I have to hope though, because Netter and I have met, like I said, Tony Todd and so many others we've met through these conventions and get-togethers and sometimes even casual meetings with them, in and around these events. Had dinner one time with Jim Doohan, Scotty. And it's like, these are good people. And I hope that they feel honored, not because of the people with the gold Oscar awards, but because of people like us that have actually met them and shared our stories with them and told them, this is the impact you had on us. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. And Accounting Sheep, thank you so much for becoming a member today. Super appreciate that. Let me bring that up.
I just did.
Oh, did you? Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
There you go.
Welcome. Yeah, definitely. Welcome to the family, as we say. But
yes, and Clue brings up another point. But they have no problem giving center stage. Hey everybody, look at this kid who hasn't done a good movie once, but he showed up wearing a castle on his head.
He showed up with a castle on his head.
Yes.
How
literally
old is he at this point?
I don't know. He's got to be coming up on 30, right? He's a dumb kid.
This is not normal now.
Kid.
This is not some teenager getting attention. This is you're a grown adult. You can't be doing this anymore.
Well, he's got his parents telling him, he's the greatest thing. He's wonderful, and he buys into it.
Because he's
Troy
special.
and I don't know. Troy and
yeah, he is special. Yeah. Troy and Boomer are gentlemen of respect and reverence for those in entertainment who honor their craft. Yeah. I mean, and look, as long as they're not jerks, I can look past whatever, disagreements I have with them, their politics or whatever. But I'm sorry, if you what was it that Bill Mooney said in that Twilight Zone? I don't like people who don't like me. Just saying, but, you're not a jerk to me. I'm going to be at least respectful to you, But that's me. What can I say?
Postmodern mentality, just shock people and get a reaction from them. Maybe we need to start ignoring them when they wear the helmets. If I was in his presence, I would have tried ignoring that. But Jaden is in his 20s. Well, I guess the teenage years take longer these days. Conan O'Brien is no Fred Astaire. I heard he was better than some of the other hosts they could have gotten, though. But yeah.
I heard he was a safe choice, and he didn't go. He, like a lot of the presenters, did not get too into the politics this time around because somebody must have told them. But yeah.
Rest in peace, Tony Todd, Michelle Trachtenberg, Shannon Doherty, and all the other stars we mentioned. And you'll be remembered by the people who matter, the fans. And people will be watching.
But speaking of people that are doing the work to entertain and to inform, gotta ask, Deleted, if you're still here in the chat, do you have a stream coming up tonight? Because I didn't see it. So if I didn't see it, I can't forward people to you, but I could at least tell them about it and let them know. But Deleted Scenes is definitely a big supporter of this channel and just the whole network of us.
He's been on this channel.
He's been on this channel. Yeah, but he's good people. He's got a great show. So even if he doesn't have a stream tonight, make sure that you are not tonight. Okay. But make sure you get to his channel and hit that subscribe button. Because look, when I'm not on and Boomer's not on and Netter's not on, chances are Deleted is. So make sure you follow. and support the people trying to fill in the gaps that these companies seem anathema to. Just I don't know, but speaking of supporting, tomorrow night, Monday night at the movies becomes members night at the movies. Going forward, Monday night is going to be a movie night for members to my channel at any level. So, Accounting Sheep, you're
welcome.
absolutely welcome to join us for. I'm going to be doing a viewing of a movie called Boss Level from 2000 something. I don't remember.
It's my fault. I told them about it.
Netter told me about it. Then we mentioned it in a stream, and like a whole bunch of people, including Deleted, would say, "Oh, that was a good movie." So now I got to see it. And what did I say to you about it, Netter? I said that movie you told me about, the one with all the Australians in it. She's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I look, "Oh yeah, Boss Level," because it is. It's got Mel Gibson. It's got what's her name? Janie E from Twin Peaks, and she was in
who real name you can never remember.
She played what's her name? Diane in Mulholland Drive.
Oh, Jurassic Park lady.
Was she in Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Well, I didn't see all of them. Oh no, not her, not that one. The one that played Janie E.
Cooper's wife in
the blonde from Mulholland Drive. Yeah,
her.
The Ring.
Naomi Watts. Oh look,
yeah, Naomi Watts. That's
the name.
Australian. See, Australian. Thank you so much to the Clue channel for the Troy rants. Yes. If you enjoy my rants, boy, I'll do them for free, but I super appreciate a show of gratitude. That's really
he rants more than I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, the only reason
I did rant on Birdman's channel once, though.
The only reason Deleted Scenes didn't get it before Boomer did was because first you're hearing it on a delay of about 15 to 30 seconds, and then by the time you type and get it back, we're already 15, 30 seconds past that. So you guys are not corporate a-holes. Yes, we're all different kinds of a-holes, actually. But thank you so much for that.
Well, I'm not. We're not shills. Here's the deal. Like,
that's for sure.
I try not to be biased. Like this Amazon show. To be fair, when Blade Runner 2049 was announced, I was like, "Oh, this is smart. Let's make a sequel to a 1980s of the Vision of the Future movie. How many years later? This is going to be a disaster." And then it came out, and it was my favorite sequel of all time. So
there you go.
Maybe it's going to be a series, though. They're going to muck it up. I just.
Good night, Matanui. Take care.
I like some of the actors in it, though. I'll say that. So we'll see. Okay.
I do got to say though that if we ever get corporate, if we ever become shills, I'll probably be the first one to admit it. Probably about 30 seconds before I say try out League of Legends, blah 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 blah. This game that I'm gonna hype up reading a script.
I want to try out that Hero Wars game. I've never tried it. I always see the ads for it, and they're so completely ridiculous. But I know it's probably one of these things I would start playing, and then suddenly my bank accounts got cut in half.
I would love to be able to say it's free to play, but you can get a free this, that, and the other if you use my promo code. What you sipping on, or something like that? I don't know.
I got news for you, Boomer. Those ads are nothing like what the actual game is.
Almost.
You go in there.
It's a lie.
It's all a lie.
Yeah, it's like, where's the thing that they were showing of how this game is played?
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. It's just a hook.
Yep.
And then you're talking to a girl on the camera. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't know about all that, but
who's pleading with you for money? No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, there are sponsors. That's not entirely true. We do have sponsors, and it's you guys that are members of the channel, and you guys will be seeing your names. Well, up to a week ago, I haven't updated the closing credits, but I will get those updated. you will always see your name up in the credits. But there you go. It's gonna take me a while. I gotta now add in accounting sheep. I got to get you added to the closing credits, but I will do that. I will absolutely do that.
Always good to be an accounting sheep.
And so deleted. We are still on for live from Sparkwood and 21 on Tuesday, right? Because we're starting our rewatch of Queen of Hearts at 7:30 Central.
It's not the Juice Newton song.
Yeah, right. Not that one. And I won't try singing it either. But and the fact is, you can go ahead and watch the movie yourself if you so choose. But we will be watching the first hour of it with our commentary, and you'll be able to hear our live first reactions, because we've never actually seen this film ourselves. Especially if you're a Twin Peaks fan, you might want to join us on Tuesday, followed immediately after by the next great episode of Blake 7 on my channel.
Cool.
And then Thursday, who are you going to be talking to on Thursday?
Sporking News Podcast.
Sporking News Podcast. Great channel. Great. A little bit more ranty, a little bit more political than I am. And I'm pretty political, but great channel. Great supporter on the social medias. So tune in on Thursday, Netters Network, to find out more about him. Followed immediately after by Deleted Scenes Coming Attractions.
I'm still getting used to that new name.
Yep, to tell us all about what we got going on for the rest of the week on his channel. And Friday, assuming there is a stream for me on Friday, I'll tell you more about what's going on with me, Boomer. But Friday, the planned last call will be the follow-up to last week's, where we will be talking about Batman Returns, the second in the Tim Burton Batman series. And all the marketing around that, and how it shaped the superhero films up to today. It's still having an impact, so we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
And that is the week.
No, Saturday.
Well, Saturday is possibly going to have the same issue as
okay.
Friday.
So you don't know
we
if
may
you're
or may not be having a film on Friday, but that film would be Saturday. That's what I meant. Saturday.
Okay, I got you.
That would be
A Fish Called Wanda.
A Fish Called Wanda on Netters.
Okay, I got you.
We might have to put that off if that doesn't.
Yeah, you can tell me about it off stream. Sorry. Yeah. So we'll see what's going on.
And that is the week, my friends. Hope to see you guys all on the. There we go, live from Sparkwood 21. He's got the link already up.
Right.
I think I've got the thumbnail in there. I hope I do. If not, I'll get that taken care of in short order. And that's all I got, man. This was a heavy rant night. I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for popping in, and we'll be back next week with the latest in quote unquote geek news and other interesting stories.
Absolutely.
I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
So you guys take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.